A lot of developing news coming out in the last 24 hours as peace talks have failed, nuclear ICBM tests taking place, and new sanctions happening with the conflict all revolving around Russia and Ukraine. Let's take a look at the latest headlines so you can see it for yourself. Putin directs Russian nuclear forces drills as the summit with Trump is on hold. Putin supervises readiness drills for Russian nuclear forces. Putin oversees major Russian nuclear drill, and this also happening while North Korea is launching ballistic missiles days before Trump visits the peninsula as well, and this coming as we are hearing just a little while ago. You can see this happening in the last 27 minutes. U.S. sanctions major Russian oil companies and calls for Moscow to accept immediate Ukraine ceasefire. Trump upping the pressure on Vladimir Putin, and Trump shoots down sending Ukraine highly complex Tomahawk missiles. He says there's a tremendous learning curve. This just coming out from the White House moments ago. We're hearing that Donald Trump said we could give Tomahawks to Ukraine, but they wouldn't know how to launch them. It would take them 6 months to a year to figure out how to operate these highly complex missiles, which would mean the United States would need to launch them. And he said, we are not going to do that at this time. But we are hearing that things are escalating right now with the war between Russia and Ukraine, and the peace talks, which the United States was trying to broker, we have heard have fallen apart. Now, Volodymyr Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, saying that the reason for this is because Ukraine did not get Tomahawk missiles. He said that when those came to the table, that put Moscow within reach of attack. And had Ukraine gotten those, that Putin was scared and would have come to the table to talk. Let me know your thoughts. Do you agree? Should the United States have given those Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. Let me know your thoughts. But we're hearing there's a lot unfolding, and Donald Trump is applying more pressure to Vladimir Putin to get peace with Russia and Ukraine. Now, I'm going to dive into the latest articles, video footage, so you can see what's unfolding as of today, October 22nd, 2025, as there is a lot developing, and also, as I mentioned, North Korea as well. So we're going to dive right in, but before we do me a favor. If you appreciate the live updates, getting you the latest as to what's going on, I cite the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it, hyperlink it in the description so you can click them, see the dates and all the information. If you appreciate that, before we dive in, take a quick second, hit that thumbs up like button for me. Also, to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'll keep you up to speed on everything, pretty much doing daily updates now with all the information that has been coming out. But let's go ahead and dive into the articles so that way you can see the latest. Now, take a look here. Putin directs Russian nuclear force drills as summit with Trump is on hold. And let's take a look at this one from CNN. Putin supervises readiness drills for Russian nuclear forces. Now, this article says that Russian strategic nuclear forces carried out a readiness test supervised by the country's President Vladimir Putin on Wednesday today, the Kremlin has said. Today, we are conducting a planned, I want to emphasize planned, nuclear forces command and control exercise, Putin said in a video conference with top military brass. Russia's Ministry of Defense said that the drills involved all three components of the nuclear triad: land, sea, and air. Videos shared by the state-owned military TV channel Zvezda showed that the launch of a Yars intercontinental ballistic missile from the Plestek Cosmodrome in Russia's north, and a Sinva ballistic missile fired from the Bryansk nuclear-powered submarine in the Barents Sea. Tu-95 MS long-range bombers also fired air-launched cruise missiles, the defense ministry said. Now, let me know your thoughts. They are saying that this was planned. This is an annual drill that they do, but are you concerned as they are testing these nuclear-capable ICBMs? Are you concerned about Russia doing these tests right now? If you think so, put yes. If you think no, put no. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But going back to the article, the Kremlin said the drills tested the readiness of military command and control systems and the operational skills of the staff, adding that all objectives were met. Russia holds routine readiness exercises as a part of its nuclear deterrent. During a similar exercise last October, Putin said Russia's nuclear arsenal enables us to achieve strategic deterrence objectives and to uphold nuclear parity and the balance of power globally. The following month, Putin updated Russia's nuclear doctrine 2 days after then-President Joe Biden gave Ukraine approval to strike targets deep inside Russia with American-made weapons. And you'll recall he changed those specifically because of that. He said that any nuclear armed power that is aiding a non-nuclear armed power that is attacking our sovereignty, the nation of Russia, it is considered that both of them are at war with us. So they were saying that the United States getting involved, providing those missiles, meant that the United States was becoming more directly involved in the conflict. And if they needed to use nuclear weapons, they justified the use of it not only against that attacking non-nuclear power, but also against those aiding as well. Warnings coming out to the United States. Now let's take a look at this article coming out from Newsweek today as well, giving us a little bit more detail as it says Putin oversees major Russian nuclear drill. This article says Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, launched a nuclear exercise on Wednesday today during which ICBMs capable of striking the United States and cruise missiles were launched, the Kremlin announced. The drill came a day after an expected meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Putin to discuss ending Russia's war with Ukraine was abruptly called off. And I shared this with you as soon as it had come out that those peace talks, they have come to an end. The exercises involved Russia's full nuclear triad, land-based, sea-based, and airborne assets, according to a statement reported by Russia's state RIA news agency on Telegram. Now, during the exercise, a Yars intercontinental ballistic missile ICBM was launched from the Plestek Cosmodrome, and the Tu-95 MS strategic bombers conducted air-launched cruise missile strikes, the Kremlin said. The strategic submarine cruiser launched a ballistic missile from the Barents Sea. The exercise tested the level of preparedness of the military command and the practical skills of the operational personnel in organizing the control of subordinate forces, the Kremlin statement said. All exercise tasks were completed. Now, the White House has announced that the Trump-Putin summit is off. Let's go ahead and cover this. I covered it in detail for you as soon as we heard yesterday. It says the tests come amid high tensions between Russia and the West. NATO began military exercises last week. Trump is trying to bring an end to the war in Ukraine that has devastated large parts of the country. Russia invaded Ukraine in February of 2022. However, on Tuesday, an expected summit between Trump and Putin to be held in Budapest, Hungary, was called off, and that was just yesterday. Now, the White House said there were no plans for Trump to meet with Putin in the immediate future. We heard Trump say there's no point in wasting time. If we don't think that anything's going to come to fruition, we should not go ahead and have this meeting. And at this point, we heard Russia say there is no point to these meetings. Our stance has not changed. We are not going to agree to what is being put on the table. Russia rejects Trump's battle lines. The White House statement came after Russia reiterated its peace terms, including Ukraine giving up the entire Donbas region. Reuters reported, citing 3 unnamed sources. That was a rejection of Trump's statement on Sunday that the current front lines should form the basis of a peace settlement to end the war. Speaking to reporters, Trump said that during a meeting on Friday with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, there had been no discussion that Kiev should cede the Donbas. Trump said that the war should just stop at the lines where they are, the battle lines, which would mean Russia keeping large parts of Ukraine. And we're hearing that Russia is saying there is no agreement to that. That is not the route that we are going to go. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Where do we go from here? Are we going to see war or peace? Now, we are also going to be taking a look here at a second at North Korea also doing some tests. But let's go ahead and take a look at what the United States has now done in response. This coming out in just about the past hour or so. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now, this is from the live feeds coming out from The Guardian. U.S. sanctions major Russian oil companies and calls for Moscow to accept an immediate ceasefire. Updates coming out live. Now, you can see here 27 minutes ago from the time of this recording, U.S. Treasury sanctions major Russian oil companies, calls for Russia to accept an immediate ceasefire. The Trump administration said on Wednesday today that it is imposing further sanctions as a result of Russia's lack of serious commitment to a peace process to end the war in Ukraine. The United States applying more pressure to Russia. Donald Trump just shared the news by posting a press release from the U.S. Treasury headlined, U.S. Treasury sanctions major Russian oil companies, calls on Moscow to immediately agree to ceasefire on his social media platform. According to the Treasury, the new measures from the U.S. Office of Foreign Asset Control increase pressure on Russia's energy sector and degrade the Kremlin's ability to raise revenue for its war machine and support its weakened economy. The United States will continue to advocate for a peaceful resolution to the war, and a permanent peace depends entirely on Russia's willingness to negotiate in good faith. Treasury will continue to use its authorities in support of a peace process. Now is the time to stop the killing and for an immediate ceasefire, the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said in a statement. Given President Putin's refusal to end this senseless war, Treasury is sanctioning Russia's two largest oil companies that fund the Kremlin's war machine. Treasury is prepared to take further action if necessary to support President Trump's effort to end yet another war. We encourage our allies to join us and adhere to these sanctions. The Treasury said that the sanctions target Russia's two largest oil companies, Rosneft and Lukoil, which are now designated. Now, there you have it, you guys. Now, in addition to that, 2 minutes ago, Trump says that he canceled meeting with Putin because we have good conversations, but then they don't go anywhere. You can see this coming out 2 minutes ago. Let's take a look at this update. After imposing new sanctions on Russian oil firms he called tremendous, Donald Trump told reporters on Wednesday that he had canceled a planned meeting with Vladimir Putin and the Russian president in Budapest. We canceled the meeting with President Putin. It didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel like we were going to get to the place that we have to get. So I canceled it. But we'll do it in the future, Trump said, while sitting with Mark Rutte, the NATO Secretary General, in the Oval Office. I think that in terms of honesty, the only thing that I can say is every time I talk to Vladimir, I have good conversations, and then they don't go anywhere. They just don't go anywhere. These are tremendous sanctions, Trump also said. These are very big against their two big oil companies, and we hope that they won't be on for long. We hope that the war will be settled, Trump said. Now, 13 minutes ago, Jeff Merkley, a Democratic senator from Oregon, just yielded the Senate floor they're switching to something else here. And 27 minutes ago, we just read about those sanctions on Russian oil companies. So there you have it, you guys. We're hearing that that is taking effect as the United States is applying more pressure. Now, as I mentioned, Volodymyr Zelensky said the reason why Russia is not showing up to the table to have peace talks and going more in the direction of war is because the United States did not provide Ukraine with those Tomahawk cruise missiles. And we also heard from Donald Trump a little while ago today saying the reason for that is because Ukraine would not be able to use them. It would need to be the United States, and they are not prepared to take that action. Take a look at this coming out today. Trump shoots down sending Ukraine those highly complex Tomahawk missiles, says there is a tremendous learning curve. President Trump on Wednesday today appeared to rule out providing Ukraine with Tomahawk cruise missiles, arguing that the weapons are too complex for Kiev to deploy without substantial U.S. training. The problem with the Tomahawks is, a lot of people don't know, it'll take a minimum of 6 months, usually a year, to learn how to use, Trump told reporters during an Oval Office meeting with NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte. Now, the only way a Tomahawk is going to be shot is if we shoot it, the president added, and we're not going to do that. Now, Trump said there is a tremendous learning curve when it comes to using a highly complex weapons, and he signaled that he wouldn't want the U.S. military to train other nations on how to effectively fire the long-range and very accurate missile. It takes a year of intense training to learn how to use it, and we know how to use it, and we're not going to be teaching other people, he said. So there you have it, you guys. Donald Trump, that was just a little while ago. A lot coming out with all of the things happening right now with Russia and Ukraine. And we're hearing that Donald Trump having a lot of conversations with NATO leaders, Russia, Ukraine, in the White House. Today, he met with Mark Rutte of NATO. And these just coming out a couple minutes ago, some of these live updates. Now, this is all unfolding while also another adversary of the United States, has tested some ICBMs today. North Korea launches ballistic missiles days before Trump's visit to the peninsula. Short-range ballistic missiles launches were North Korea's first in 5 months. Let's go ahead and take a look at this article coming out today from Fox News. Now, it says here, South Korea's military said the missiles, which were the first launched by its neighbor in 5 months, originated from an area south of Pyongyang, that flew about 220 miles towards the northeast. The missiles did not land in the sea, the military added. Now, Trump is set to leave for Asia at the end of the week in what will be his first trip to the region during his second term. He plans to go to Malaysia, first for a regional summit, and then head to Japan before traveling on to South Korea for an Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation meeting. The president is expected to visit the South Korean city of Gyeongju ahead of the summit for bilateral meetings with leaders including Xi and South Korean President Lee Jae-myung. Now, South Korea's military said Wednesday that it remains ready to repel any provocation by North Korea based on its alliance with the United States. Japan's Prime Minister, Sanae Takachi, also told reporters that Tokyo was closely communicating with Washington and Seoul, including by sharing real-time missile warning data. Wednesday's ballistic missile launches by North Korea were the first of their kind since the country tested short-range systems on May 8th that simulated nuclear counterstrikes against U.S. and South Korean forces. Earlier this month, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un displayed a new long-range intercontinental ballistic missile at a military parade in Pyongyang that included foreign leaders. The yet-to-be-tested Hwasong-20 was described by the state-owned Korean Central News Agency as having the most powerful nuclear strategic weapons system. The government also displayed shorter-range ballistic, cruise, and supersonic missiles at a military parade which marked 80 years since the founding of the Workers' Party. Kim said at the parade that the military must continue to evolve into an invincible force that eliminates all threats. Now, the foreign dignitaries at the parade included Chinese Premier Li Qiang, former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, and Vietnam's Communist Party chief Tu Lam. So there you have it, you guys. In addition to all of this that's happening right now with the United States, Russia, Ukraine, NATO, we also have North Korea today doing ICBM tests as well. So we're going to be seeing where we go from here, but a lot unfolding today, October the 22nd, 2025. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are we going to be going to some form of major conflict involving the United States? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Is the U.S. going to be going to war, deeper levels of war with Russia, North Korea, or are we going to be able to stave this off? Today, we actually heard President Donald Trump tell Mark Rutte, that NATO leader, that he has helped dissolve 8 conflicts around the world, hoping for a 9th with Russia and Ukraine. Let me know, where do you think we're going from here? War or peace? Now, whatever unfolds, I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel. There's a lot taking place. I'll stay on top of it, get you the latest as it unfolds. And again, if you want to stay on top of things here on the channel with me, don't forget, take a quick second, hit that subscribe button. I will keep you up to speed on everything. And if you appreciate the updates, once again, hit that like button. Helps out the channel a ton. I appreciate it. But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. God bless. This is Steve.